Namaste. Welcome to the third edition of the Global Festival of Oneness, organized by Advaita Academy. We will start with a prayer. Sada Shiva Samarambham, Shankaracharya Madhyamam, Asmadacharya Paryantam, Vande Guru-Paramparam. We're very pleased to have with us Deepa Bhaskaran, who is going to conduct the second part of the workshop, Vedanta Demystified for Youth. For those of you who are joining us for the first time, I'd like to introduce the speaker. Deepa ji is an Advaita Vedanta student and sadhaka. She speaks and writes on Hindu Dharma and parenting and conducts Hindu workshop for parents and youth. Professionally, she's a technology marketing executive. She has learned about teaching Dharma and Vedanta to children by experimenting on her 3 children and on many youth whom she mentors as a life coach. Her workshop information can be found in the lifethehinduway.wordpress.com. Welcome, Deepa ji.
Namaste. Let's start with a prayer. Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru-Paramparam. Thank you to all for joining this evening. Yesterday, we started out with a very, very basic introduction into Vedanta. We started talking about why we need Vedanta, especially today, and why it is also important for youth to start understanding it and see this whole treasure that has been passed down to us for several thousand years, because it is the only way where we actually address the inner problem. The outer, we're very focused on fixing the external situations these days. Whenever we face any problem, we try to fix it with money or with technology. But Vedanta tells us that the problem is actually inside. And the problem is inside, the solution is also inside. So yesterday we saw that Vedanta tells us that we are not a limited, sad, weak being, but we are actually the essence of, we are actually full of divinity, we are full of joy, we are full of bliss, we're full of love. So how do we make this transformation from thinking that we are a limited being into this treasure? Vedanta tells us that, hey, you are that eternal Atman, you're the eternal consciousness, you're full of bliss. It's a big transformation of the vision. So again, nothing changes when you study Vedanta. The world doesn't change. The world remains whatever it is. The problems remain, the people around you remain, but our vision changes. So we are filled with love, we are filled with strength. We are not fluctuating based on our mind every minute. So that is the premise of Vedanta and why it makes it very, very practical. It's not something that you can leave in the books. We have to bring it into our lives. And yesterday we also saw that why are we not able to do it? Why are we not able to claim that we are the Atman, we are bliss, and we are, knowledge? That is because we have internalized years and years of, not even years, but janmas of what we call, the vasanas. That's the language we use. So the vasanas are making us hold on to this old habitual thinking, and we need to break out of it and move forward, right? And that is the point of today. So today we are going to look at what it is that, how it is that we can change our vision, what is stopping us from changing our vision, and how to overcome those hurdles. Okay, so let's move on. Again, like yesterday, if you have any questions as we go forward, please do add it here and I'll try to address it. It's much better to make it interactive. So yesterday we saw that our rishis didn't just say, okay, this is Brahman and that's it, right? They actually has given us a very nice path. They actually told us, how do you achieve that knowledge? And that is the content of many, many great works, including the Bhagavad Gita. And what the path laid out, there are very small books available, like Jiva Yatra is one book that I recommend. There are small books which actually give you that whole path, and then you can drill down and learn more about it. But the path laid for Vedanta, what is it? Yesterday I showed you the two visuals, and if for those who are joining today, please go and listen to the first lecture from yesterday. But I showed you that two lakes, right? The one was the crystal clear, pure, still lake that reflects the sunlight. And the other is a turbulent, muddy lake that does not reflect the sunlight. So similarly, our minds have two problems. One problem is the impurities. Like in the lake, we have so many impurities that prevent the Atma, which is already there, from shining. The Atma is the only thing that's there, but we are not able to claim it because we have these impurities of the mind that are preventing that light, sun to shine. Secondly, we have turbulence. We are constantly distracted. Our mind runs after, and that's the nature of the mind itself. In fact, the definition of the mind per Vedanta is Sankalpa Vikalpatmakam. It doesn't stay on one thing. It does one thing, then goes to the next thing, goes to the next thing, right? So the point of, the issue is that the turbulence of the mind is like the waves we saw in the lake. So unless we are able to remove the purities of our mind, unless we are able to remove the turbulence of the mind, then we cannot really imbibe the words of Vedanta. We can study them, we can be masters at it, we can even speak like I'm speaking today, but it doesn't really become our reality. So what the Acharyas are telling us is develop a system. They have developed a system where we can actually go through these steps. We destroy the impurities of the mind, and that is done through what you all have probably known as Karma Yoga. And then it destroys the turbulence of the mind, which is done through Bhakti Yoga. And finally, now that our minds are, relatively clean and relatively still, we can destroy our self-ignorance and claim that truth for ourselves, that we are the eternal blissful Atman. And that is done through Myana Yoga. Now, this is kind of what many of you may be familiar with from the Bhagavad Gita and so on. But again, I don't think we need to, it's not like, okay, you do Karma Yoga for 10 years, then you do Bhakti Yoga for 10 years and all of that. I think you have to start on all of this together in some form. For some people, one of them might be easier than the others. Nevertheless, these are not like, parallel roads, they're kind of, forest paths. You kind of make your way through them. You have to embark on all of them together. And then prepare your mind better and better. Initially, when we read, when we talk about Vedanta, when we talk about Brahman and all of that, it's just theory. But as our mind gets built, becomes purer, becomes more concentrated, and we develop a desire for knowing, that knowledge starts slowly becoming a reality. So that is the premise of this whole path that has been laid for Vedanta. So let's go into each of them, just a couple of, key points on each of them. Each of them is a content of, the 6 chapters of the Gita, so to speak. So again, I'm trying to simplify it. So what is Karma Yoga? We have all heard about it. And there is a wrong notion sometimes that Karma Yoga means you do some volunteering or charity, and that is only Karma Yoga. That is definitely nice, but that's not just Karma Yoga. What we are told is Karma Yoga is a combination of right actions done with the right attitude. So these two together, otherwise it's just karma. We all do karma all the time. Right from day one of our birth, we have started doing karma, right? Many of this involuntary karmas we do, like breathing or digesting and, excretion. These are all involuntary karmas we do. And then there are many voluntary karmas that we do lifelong, right? We for either, like we talked about last time, for the purposes of earning money or purpose of enjoying pleasures, or even doing our Vaidika karmas, or, everything. We do karma every single minute. In fact, when Arjuna says, I don't want to do karma, I want to take sannyasa, Krishna says to him, Shri Krishna says, impossible. You cannot be without doing karma even 1 second. We are all doing, and except for the sleeping time, we are all doing karma. That is not Karma Yoga, because we are doing it, and it actually causes more bondage. It causes more agitation whenever we do that. With Karma Yoga, we do it with the right attitude, so that our mind actually becomes purer and calmer and more loving. So it actually transforms the way we anyway do those karmas, but how do we transform those karmas so that we attain yoga, the status of yoga. So what do we mean by that? What do we mean by right actions and right attitude? When we talk about right action, these are what is given. I have kind of summarized a whole thing into just few points. There are some do's that you have to do. And this is, what Netam Karma, right? You have to do them. If you don't do them, it's actually a problem. You actually incur sin because you have not done your duty. What are those things? They are your daily duties. That is in Sanskrit. I'm just introducing a few Sanskrit words. It's called Nitya Karma. Those daily duties are spanning many things. Like in my station in life, right? We are a grihastha. Like I'm a mother. That comes with a certain set of duties. I have to do them. I might have a job and I have to do my daily, whatever is required of me in that job. I'm a wife, I'm a parent or mother, whatever it is. All of those things I have to do on a daily basis according to my station in life. It's called ashrama. I also have to do something depending on my family, right? And the varna that I've born in, there are some family duties that have to be done. This, shraddha karma have to be done, for example, or, you have certain religious duties that you have to do in the family, you have to do them. So all of those come under this category called nitya karma or daily duties. Then there are special duties you do, naimitika karma. There might be a wedding in the family or a loss in the family, or there might be special occasions that you have to support in the community and so on. Prayashchitta karma is where you have done something wrong and you have to atone for it through some means or thing. The important thing that is told as part of the Karma Yoga is this concept called Pancha Mahaya, which is the 5-fold sacrifices that we are all asked to do. And it's a great way to purify our minds. I will talk about that alone in the next slide. So these are things that we have to do, and you have to be conscious about them. We cannot let anything slip. To the extent possible, we have to, accomplish all of these Nitya Karma, Naimintika Karma, Prayashchitta, and Pancha Mahaya. To the extent possible, we have to do them, because not doing them is also going to help, will lead to problems. What can you do in moderation? So today, for example, we are most of our karmas that we do are desire, driven. We want to accomplish something, so we do that. We want to achieve something, we do karma. Now that is fine. We want to buy something new. We want to add to our wealth. It's all fine, but we are told to do that in moderation and not get too greedy. I think, by nature, Hindu families do have that concept, but people are moving towards this concept of modernity and greed and overconsumption. So that is something that we can have a look at and say, that's enough. We are meeting our needs, a little bit of wants. Let's not go overboard and buying everything out there in the market, right? And eating every food out there in the market or watching every movie. So we can reduce our, what is called the kamya karma. We can reduce it and keep it in moderation. What we are not supposed to do are things that are adharmika or nishiddha, which is, things that cause harm to society, but frankly also cause harm to others. Like, for example, drinking or, doing something, staying up too late or whatever it is. They actually harm us also. And there are other things that harm other people. So treat yourself well, treat other people well, and don't do things that are nishiddha. And there are lists of what you cannot do in our Dharma Shastras. So that is the general rule of what actions to do and what not to do. Then we come to the more difficult thing, which is the right attitude. What is this attitude? Today we do it whatever job we do, whatever roles we play, we do it as our, out of a sense of pride, out of a sense of ego that I'm doing it, I'm the best person to do it. And, it comes with a whole lot of mental problems. When the pride comes into the picture, not only does it drive our actions, we don't do it right, but we also affect those around us because of our pride. Instead, we are asked to do it as these roles, we're asked to do them as our divine duty, right? By surrendering. So Ishvara is Bhagavan is he runs this whole world. It's a Dharma Adhyaksha, right? In a sense, it's Bhagavan's world. We all have a role in it. We are, it's like a big factory that Bhagavan is running, and we all are a little nut or a little engine or a little motor or whatever. We all have a certain role in it, and there is no role that is higher or lower. And I'm going to do the roles as my divine duty, not because of my pride or not to show off or not to, brag to others or anything, but it's purely, it's my duty. I've been, like, for example, I think of myself, 20 problems. I've been given this role of a mother. It's Bhagavan's has given this role. I'm going to do it to the best of my ability. Comes with all the problems, but it's a journey. But this attitude really helps us. I'm no longer doing something from my small ego standpoint, but I'm doing it from, I'm Ishvara's soldier, in a sense, it actually empowers you. Secondly, is this notion of accepting results or as a prasad, as Bhagavan's prasad. We have all heard this very famous shloka from the Bhagavad Gita, karmanyeva adhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana, right? So the accepting the results as prasada from God. But the interesting thing about this, and I also have these discussions with my children and the workshops as well, is this is not, even with logic you can understand. Often when we get a result, our vision is very small, as a human being. We don't even know what's going to happen next tomorrow. Forget about what's going to happen 5 years later. So whenever we get a result, we assess it on the immediate impact. We think, oh, it is not good for me right now, or it's good for me right now. We have no way of knowing what that is. Usually those results have a long-term impact. We have no vision to understand that. We don't have the drishti, for far away. To use an example, I have high school children, and many of you may have, or you may be youth, looking at, let's say, which college to go to. Now, the point is, you may think X college is better than Y college today, because that is the information you have. And you may think, oh, if I don't get X college, I'm going to be very upset. But frankly, who knows how the journey is going to be? Maybe it's possible, and we don't know. That the point is, we don't know how. There are a million combinations, permutations that can happen in life, where you go to X college and you end up, even though it's what you wanted to do, it may not be the right thing for you once you go there. You may not have a great, experience there. It may not lead to something great in the future. Whereas you may go to Y college, where you end up having a great, experience and a great job, or whatever it is. The point of this exercise is, let's accept humbly that we have, our drishti is very small. We cannot know what's going to happen in the future. We have to trust that the system, the karma theory that we talk about, Bhagavan, who is giving these results, knows better than us. And that takes a little bit of humility. And we can do some analysis even our life. I've done that in my past. Oh, we sold our house, we moved to a different house. I was very upset. It happened. But now there are so many benefits in the new house. So even a little bit of thinking of the past, you can do some analysis, and we know that it's better to accept the results and, accept them so that you're empowered to go on, rather than be devastated by something that whatever I wish did not happen, right? So the Ishvara Prasada Buddhi, as accepting the results, is a great attitude. Even from a psychological standpoint, it helps us not to get either too elated or too devastated. So you actually maintain some calmness. Okay, this is what I've been given. Also, let's understand that, while we may work a lot for our certain result, so many other factors are involved in that result, right? Like even when we go from one place to another, we are driving, we give adequate time. It takes half an hour. I've given 40 minutes or 45 minutes. Still, we have no control. All we have control is over our driving. Even that is difficult. Our car may conk out, or there may be some traffic issue, or who knows. So the point is, the humility is understanding that while I do my job, there are many factors that are unknown, and that is what we call luck in the West, but we are call that Ishvara in Daiva in the Indian context. That there are so many things that are not in our control. So we have to just do our best and leave the rest, as Swami Chinmayanandaji says, as well as accept the results, because we have no drishti on whether that's good for me or not. So those are things which help in Karma Yoga with the right attitude. So I mentioned this thing called Pancha Mahaya, and this is something I love. I think it's something that every Hindu family should make a priority. It's easy to remember. It's 5 things. It's not very complex. And we can, even though there are nice, kind of rules given for, nice guidelines given for each of them, we can create our own. It's better to do something rather than, aiming for some perfection. So this Pancha Mahaya is, I think it's in the Taittiriya Aranyaka, I think, and again, many Acharyas have written on it. It's 5 sacrifices. And when we say sacrifice, we get scared, but really 5 ways to offer our gratitude to the world. And it's a recognition that we are very much connected to the world. everything, not even like I just said, even to go from one place to another, you may drive, but so many people are cooperating in that process. People are letting you go. They're following the traffic rules. Somebody has laid the road. They've made sure the road is maintained. Weather is beautiful. So many things, right? Like even in that, if you analyze that little trip, you can understand, right? Like, the weather is nice. That is, devas are making sure that the weather is good. The road is well done. Some city laborers have made sure that road is working fine. Other people are making sure we are driving. So many factors go on even in that small thing. So imagine our life when we eat food, everything is being handled. When we have some culture, it's coming from our ancestors, from our rishis. So I won't go into all of that, but like developing a sense of gratitude to the what makes us function in the world is very, very important. So in the Taittiriya Aranyaka, it's split into 5 categories. Deva Yajna, which is all of this nature and the laws of the world that are governed by our devas that make us have a peaceful life. We thank them. That is the Deva Yajna. The Rishi Yajna, in our case, we are immeasurably blessed to have our rishis who have created this corpus, this beautiful Sanatana Dharma that has lasted for thousands and thousands of years, that still give us, even today, it's the only way to handle the materialism. It's the only way to handle problems is what the rishis have given us, in terms of our internal development, in terms of our bhakti. So we thank them for what they have passed on to us. Pitru Yajna, we are nothing other than our series of ancestors, whatever we have from our DNA, as well as from our culture, from our, everything, personality, everything we have is through our Pitrus. So we also owe it to them. Then we have Manushya Yajna, which is all the people who support us, in everything we do around us. And finally, the Bhuta Yajna, we are probably the only culture that respects, only remaining culture that still respects, the bhutas, all the animals and the lakes and the mountains and the plants and the trees. We are the only one, and each of them have a role to play, especially in these times. They're talking about sustainability and, extinct animals and all of that. We are the only culture that still gives that as equal importance as human beings. So we have all of this. Now, what do you do for each of them? And there are some traditional things that are given with Deva Yajna. Obviously, you have to do the pujas, and earlier they used to do the yajnas for the devatas to give them their havis, the sacrificial offerings to the devas. But at the least, we do our puja every day. We thank them, and also we treat their creation with respect. Pitru Yajna, we have to definitely do our Shraddha karmas, remember them. And also, in a way, we try to follow what our ancestors did. That was also in a form of Yajna, that, hey, thank you for giving us this tradition. I'll try to follow it to the best of my ability. I'll pass it on to my next generation. Again, with Rishi Yajna, the best thing we can do is to follow all of the Shastras that they've given, whether they are the rituals that they've given to us, or the Dharma Shastras, where they tell us how to live our lives, or the Vedanta Shastra, which they have passed on, which helps us realize our true nature. Manushya Yajna, many of us do to the extent possible, helping people who are suffering, helping people in need, Annadana, Vidyadana, whatever possible. And then Bhuta Yajna, again with animals. And we had a thriving tradition of Godana or animals. Now we can do our part. We can lay out bird feed. I see people putting out water for the animals. Definitely support Goshalas. So we have to create our own, like, what am I going to do for this Deva Yajna, these 5 Yajnas? It's a great way. I think it softens our mind. It softens our pride. Every day we remember, I'm doing Bhuta Yajna, I'm doing Pitru Yajna. Then it softens our mind. Ego slowly gets, because we are part of that connected ecosystem. So it really helps us, and it also helps us, in the Karma Yoga attitude, because, whatever we realize, whatever I may be thinking that I am doing, but it's because of all of these that I'm actually able to accomplish anything. So it also gives that, the Ishvara Arpana Buddhi as part of this Karma Yoga. Okay, so if there are any questions about Karma Yoga, please drop them. If not, I will continue, or I can also break later and take any questions. Then we go into Bhakti Yoga. So this, again, there are different terminologies people use. So I'll just stick to the commonly used terminology here as Bhakti Yoga. Some Acharyas say Upasana Yoga, which is also fine. So the Bhakti is obviously a state of mind, right? It's not something that you have to develop. Some people are naturally born to it. Others, it's possible to develop. It is possible to make bhakti a priority and say, I want to develop it. And yes, it is an emotion. Just like, for example, we get married and we start, developing love for somebody complete stranger. How did it happen? It happened with time as we, live together, do things for each other. It's possible to do that again with the Ishta Devata, and it's very, very empowering. So Bhakti Yoga, we are, there is a certain path laid out. So we are encouraged to, and Hindu Dharma is full of Ishta Devatas that we can form as call our Ishta Devata. Many of us will have a Kula Devata, which are family deities, Grama Devatas. Whatever makes us connect, we can take that Saguna form, that as Ishta Devata, that form of Bhagavan, right? Ganesha or Krishna or Devi, and we develop a relationship with that Devata. How does that happen? By doing a daily thought about that Devata, right? We do it with the body and try to, so with the body, we try to do more of puja. So there are so many puja vidhis given, so many different types of pujas you can do. So you definitely can develop a certain consistent routine, whatever is possible within our lifestyle, right? The point is not to over stress, but find something small that you can start with, and slowly it itself will develop into something bigger. If all you can do is to light a lamp every day, chant a certain number of, japa, or chant some stotra to the devata, that's a great place to start. So whatever is possible, but it has to be a consistent, give it enough priority that it's a consistent practice. It's something that you do every day, every morning, evening. It becomes a part of us, and not something that's, if I have time, I'll do. We do so many things. So this is just, if it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, fine, but at least let's start there. So that is the Saguna Upasana. Now, what happens over time is that later with Vedanta, when we study, when we understand, we recognize that while I may be praying to Devi or Shiva, that same Devi pervades the universe. So we start seeing everybody, Vishwarupa Ishvara, right? Then the Gita 12th chapter talks about it also. So now we start seeing Bhagavan around us everywhere. That develops love for everybody. We forgive everybody, because after all, they are also Devi in a different form. They're also a child of, you can call it either child of Devi or Devi herself, doesn't matter. We see everybody as Bhagavan itself, and like Shiva Bhaktas, we have this stotra, right? Mata cha Parvati Devi, Pita Deva Maheshwara, Bandhava Shiva Bhaktasha. Everybody, Shiva Bhaktas are my bandhus, my relatives. We can have that vision through bhakti. So bhakti has the side benefit that we actually see everybody as Bhagavan, and able to live with them, able to forgive them. And finally, as we go more and more, firstly, we rely on the form a lot. We rely on the name, the form, the beautiful form, the stories. But slowly, we can transition more and more to Nirguna. So we can see, the form is still there. It's beautiful, no doubt. But slowly, the premise is we can go into Nirguna Bhakti, and we can actually see. And finally, we see Bhagavan as our own Atma. In every puja vidhi, we actually end with that, right? We end with, I see that Bhagavan, please, be in my heart. Let me see you continuously. So that is the Bhakti Yoga. Krishna also, in a separate way, he says, initially when we start out with the Bhakti, many people are there who start out only as, if they need any problem, if they have any problem, they will go to Bhagavan, right? I have a problem with a family, health issue, financial issue, then I go to Bhagavan. Or they want something, they want a child, or they want a job, or whatever, they'll go to Bhagavan and pray. And later, once you get into Vedanta and all that, people start asking for, let me get wisdom, let me get the Vedanta knowledge, let me imbibe it, let me get the Guru's grace. And then slowly they don't even need anything. They are already established. So Krishna also talks about these 4 types of bhaktas in the Gita. So Arthi, Artati, Jignasu, and Jnani. So these are 4 gradations of how we develop our bhakti. It's totally all right to start asking Bhagavan for help. After all, who else to ask for? So there's no need to feel bad about it. We ask Bhagavan for help when we are in trouble. Slowly we make that a habit. And then, we ask Bhagavan more for more, not about wealth or external things, but about our own purification. Let me be more purer. Let me be nobler. Let me be calmer. And let me get a guru. Let me get knowledge. And let me understand you. So that is the journey of a bhakta. How do we actually do it? There are the 3 beautiful steps given. with the body. So that is the most somewhat easier is to start out doing puja, and it's a lot of fun. We can do prasadam and we can have flowers, we can decorate. It's actually a nice family activity. And, we can chant, sing, we can make it a beautiful activity, depending again on the time that you have, how much time you're able to give. But that involves the whole body. It's easier. The concentration required is easier. And of course, physically, you have to do a little more. Then we can do verbally, we can do japa, which is repeating the name of any of your Ishta Devata. You can get Diksha, Mantra Diksha from anybody, any Guru or any Pandit or somebody in your temple, or just start something on your Ishta Devata. You can even ask an elder, start one day, do a Namaskara and start it. You can use a Japa Mala if you want, but make that verbal thing. And again, many people start, morning and night, and then sometime during the day. Again, there are no rigid injunctions, but at least start doing something, and maybe once in the morning, once in the evening. It's a great way to do. And there are many advice available online on how to do japa. The third thing, which is, so you see the body is somewhat easier, yes, it helps you focus, but it's not. And then verbal is a little more difficult. Doing japa takes, even doing 108, your mind will wander, but then you bring it back and then you focus on the name again and again. And then we have the mental upasana, which is mental Bhakti Yoga, which is dhyana, right? And that is contemplation on Bhagavan. It's done at a mental level. You're not doing anything. You're just sitting with your eyes closed. And and again, here there are Guru Swami Tvejamananda has given a very nice, in Upadesha Saram, in his lecture, he said, if it's very difficult to do dhyana right away, to, the contemplation, start out something broader. Like, for example, you take Sri Krishna, you can just think of all the stories of Sri Krishna. You start out. So initially, the first time itself, you're going to say, okay, I'm going to just do blind contemplation on Sri Krishna. It'll be very difficult. Our minds are not used to it. So we can start with something broader, something that's more, your mind will get engaged, like all the stories of Sri Krishna. So today I'm going to think about, Rukmini Kalyana, and that's what I'm going to talk. I'm going to think about that story all the time. Then slowly over time, your mind will, okay, at the least you're focused on this. Then you kind of slow down, and then you go into more of, I think I have it here. Sorry, I forgot that I had the slide. So dhyana, primarily, what is it? It's a flow of thoughts of the same kind in the mind. So right now, our thoughts are all over the place. 1 second, I'm thinking of this. 1 second, I'm thinking of that. How do you bring all of those thoughts into one kind, right? Sajatiya vritti pravaha, that's what it's called. So how can I bring all of those thoughts in the mind of one type? So initially, we can start with, like I said, we can talk about all the stories of Sri Krishna. Then we say, okay, stories are good. Next stage, maybe you can say, I'm going to think of his form. It's so beautiful, right from the peacock feather all the way to, the feet, Keshadi Pada, Padadi Kesha, they say. We can actually think of this form. And you see, it helps our mind. There is an anchor. You're not letting the mind loose. There's an anchor. You say, oh, that's the peacock feather. That's his crown. And then you enjoy each of this and you go through that. You can also, there are so many stotras available. If you're able to understand the meaning, you can actually go through the stotra and imagine each phrase of the stotra, and you can, connect to it. Then slowly you can come down to, like I said, japa dhyana, or the name, mindless, not using your voice, but in the mind, thinking of the name, and then slowly just staying with the thought of Bhagavan, right? So the dhyana has a certain pattern that you can follow. That, what I just talked about, is called the upasana dhyana, right? It's more the, Ishvara dhyana. Apart from that, Vedanta students also can do other types of dhyana, and there are even more types of meditation that are prescribed, like expansion, relaxation, and all of that. But just to use a couple of examples, one more is values. So whenever we want to become better people, so we can do value meditation. Like, I have the certain problem, I get irritated, or I don't do my job on time. How can I? So that is the more of self-improvement kind of values meditation. You think about it. Why am I not doing that? What's making me fall on these values? How can I improve? And again, you can study Bhagavad Gita or Dharma Shastras to develop that, the determination to follow that value, but also make it come alive in our life. So that is kind of values meditation. Later, once we start studying, understand this concept of Brahman, we are, starting to do more, like let's say Upanishad study and so on, then we are asked to do this Vedantic meditation, which is really internalizing that notion that I am Brahman and Atman and not the body, right? So we negate the meditation really consists of I'm not the body, I'm not the body, and all the reasoning around that, all the reasoning around I'm not the mind, and then accepting again and again the Upanishad declaration that I'm Brahman, I'm Shuddha, Buddha, Mukta, Sachitananda Swarupa. So that is the Vedantic meditation, because like I said earlier, we will study everything. Many of us, and even Adi Shankaracharya himself says, you can master everything. You can master all the content of the Upanishads and Vedanta Shastras, but unless you imbibe them, you're just a speaker about it. You just talk about it. So how do you bring it into your life? We do this Vedantic meditation to actually internalize it. So, okay, so somebody's asking a question. I wanted to know how to watch our thoughts, be a witness to our thoughts. Okay, yes, I promised to cover. That is also one, way of dhyana, is to really, and then this also comes down, you can talk about values meditation. Now, the purpose of this dhyana, multifold purpose, right? One is simply to develop focus, simply to train the mind. It's like a dog, right? A dog keeps wandering around, and then we put a leash on it and we make sure the dog walks in one direction. Once in a while, it won't, it will run somewhere else. And then you will pull the leash so it comes back to this direction. In Gita also, Bhagavan says, that's a mind is going to do that. Mind will keep going. Every time you go, you come back, right? And the watching the thought, what will you do? Even when you watch the thought, your mind will come back, right? So that's the nature of when, at the moment there is a witness, the mind will come back to the center. So, yeah, we can be a witness to our thoughts also. So Narendra ji is asking how to watch our thoughts or be a witness to thoughts. Even when we watch the thoughts, like I said, the thoughts will come back. So that's what Krishna also says. Ramana Maharshi also in Upadeshasara, he says, the moment you watch, see, I was supposed to do this. I was supposed to think about Sri Krishna and my mind went somewhere else. Come back. So we can, even just simply watching will be a huge help. Witness to our thoughts, yes, but the moment you witness, it will come back. It's not like you won't be able to do anything, because the moment you witness, your mind knows to behave, it will come back. The mind, Vedanta meditation at least does not talk about mindless, like thoughtless state and all that. It doesn't talk about that. Sorry. We use meditation to establish knowledge. We use meditation to develop focus. So when we do upasana, dhyana on Ishvara, we use it to first to develop concentration and focus our mind on Ishvara, but it's also to develop devotion towards Ishvara, right? So there is a purpose. It's not mindless. Similarly, when we are talking about values, we say, okay, I want to do, like, I don't want to talk bad about other people, apaishunam. Okay, today I'm going to just talk about apaishunam. So this is all I will do. I will not, why am I talking badly about this? Why should I do that? After all, they're going their path, I'm in my path. What's the point of doing that? I'm only developing unnecessary hatred towards them. Let me not do that. It is still in the same kind, right? Thoughts of the same kind, but it actually helping you remove an imperfection in you. You actually get rid of some imperfections in you, or you develop some good values. Vedantic meditation, like I said, again, has content. It's not like you're blindly sitting. You're consciously, you're doing, I am Brahman. See, I fell back into this. I'm thinking the body, let me remind myself of the Upanishad statement. So you're still thinking about it. At some point, people do, there is this talk of samadhi, nirvikalpa samadhi and all of that. I don't want to talk about it because I'm not there yet. But there are great Mahatmas who stay in Brahman. It's not even, they stay in the consciousness that I'm Brahman. For us, at least from my side, I will, will just stay at this level. So, this conscious meditation that I'm Brahman, I'm Atman, I'm not the body. That is the Vedantic meditation. For example, we can take elements. Let me go into that next thing, because I'm going to talk about it later. So now that we have talked about Karma Yoga, where we reduce the impurities in our mind slowly, we don't fall into that old habits. We will fall sometimes, but at least we recognize it and we say, oh, you know what, I promised myself I won't do that. I fell into it, go back again. That is, so we have reduced the impurities in the mind. With Bhakti Yoga, we have done all these upasana. We do a daily upasana in the form of puja, japa, dhyana. And then we have developed more of a still mind. We are able to focus for longer periods of time. Then the study of Shastras become much more easier. We can start early. We don't, like I said earlier, we don't wait until we finish a course of Karma Yoga or the course of Bhakti Yoga. We start out definitely with study early on, and the study actually helps us develop better Karma Yoga, better Bhakti Yoga. However, there is a systematic process for Myana Yoga that is also given. To use quote my Guru Swami Paramarthanandaji, systematic and consistent study of the Shastras for a length of time under the guidance of a competent Guru. So this is because it's a slow unfolding. It's slow unfolding from change our vision from current vision to the Vedantic vision. It takes a little bit of time. And for many of us who are so caught up in the world, it takes quite a bit of time. So we go through the studies consistently, systematically. Once you start on the study, it should be an everyday pursuit. Every day we are either reading or listening or contemplating or writing our notes. What form, even this, for example, even talking to each other in study groups. Satsang is a very, very important help for all of us. Having a guru, of course, competent guru who can explain it to us in words in our level. Because what you don't want is when we start out something so complex, we'll run away. The guru knows at what level what can be introduced. So that really is a very helpful, and they know, many of our Acharyas, they know how to systematically take the student through this process. But satsang really helps, because in the satsang, we can actually talk about it, clarify questions, and more importantly, inspire each other to practice it right away in life, bring it into our lives. And there is a systematic study group. Many of Chinmaya Mission has a very systematic study group process. Swami Paramarthanandaji also in the same tradition, he also has a systematic study. This is the text, then you go to this text, then you go back and revise a text. So there's a very systematic teaching tradition that is advised. So we don't have to think at all. We just follow what the Guru says and we'll be in a good shape. Now, what does that mean? What does Jnana Yoga mean? It means listening to the Guru. That process is called Shravanam. And we understand at the basic level, what are the Shastras saying? Let's at least understand that. Even if it is only theoretical, we understand it. But it requires, we think it's easy, but because these are very abstract, sometimes very difficult topics, and mainly because we are not used to it. When I first started, I struggled, and it's always helpful to join a course, because initially we all need support. So I would strongly suggest joining a Vedanta course or a Gita course. Doing it alone is very difficult. But at the least, you're able to spend half an hour, 1 hour to understand it, take notes. What does that mean? Almost treat it as a science. How you would go to a course on, programming or science, how would you do? Similarly, take it very seriously, take notes, understand the concepts, understand the terminology. Then take time to reflect on the teaching. That is called Mananam, that where you analyze, Swamiji said that this morning, what does that mean? How is that true? And then you analyze it yourself. And like we talked about in our yesterday's session, it's totally fine to ask questions. Mananam is usually done ourselves. It's not relying on a Swamiji. Usually we analyze, but we can ask any kind of questions to our gurus to get clarity. Within the satsang, we can ask questions. And, the more we talk about it, the more we question, the more we analyze, our understanding becomes better. And then finally, we contemplate on the teaching. That is called Nididhyasana. That is what I started going into the Dhyana section, the Vedantic meditation also. This is where we not just have, now that the knowledge is very clear, I know it, I understand it, there are no questions in my mind. Then what do? I have to change I have to change my thinking in that direction. So I think about the teaching all the time. This makes sense. It totally makes sense. I was wrong. Until now, I was wrong. This is what the Upanishads are saying. This is what my guru said. This totally makes sense. I have to change my vision. And sometimes all you need is that one line from a guru that you will be meditating on it unknowingly, because it will be so powerful that you'll be thinking about it for a long time. So it's so helpful. Like recently in Panchadashi, we were studying, and it's still like, it's few months now, but it's still stuck in me. He talked about how the first Ishvara Srishti happens, whatever situation happens is Bhagavan is creating. But on top of that, we create our own world. We create whether that's good, bad, that's not good, that's going to cause problems. We create our own, like I'm saying, our own masala around it. So that thing is really powerful. That one line from a guru will make you think for a long time, and it actually helps us in life. So we actually are able to change our habitual tendencies. It takes some time, but we have to commit to it. And that's where this dhyana helps. Talking about it helps. Listening again and again helps. Discussing within the satsang helps. All of them could be called nididhyasana. Also sitting down every day and meditating on the teaching. It's not a mindless meditation, but meditating on the teaching. That is also very, very helpful. So all of this will help us understand what the scriptures are saying. It will help remove any kind of doubts and make the conviction in the teaching. And finally, we will remove our past habitual thinking. I'm sorry about the spelling mistake. We'll remove our past habitual thinking and think differently. That is the purpose of nididhyasana, that removes the past conditioning. So that is the journey of Myana Yoga. So all of this, like I said, is a very beautifully created structure for us. So we don't need to, worry about what to do. The path is very well laid out if we have to go into this. So some questions here. Are all these concepts, activities, attitudes, religion or spirituality? Now, I think I mentioned this yesterday. We should not be separating both of them. For us, it's a cohesive whole, right? It's kind of, I'm trying to look at a good example, but when you look at like our homes, for example, it is it a mother or a lady? It's like that. It's all combined, right? The mother has love and all of that, has this thing, but mother has some culture that mother is imparting, but mother also has some rules. Hey, you have to do this, you have to do your chores, you have to, do your prayer. Now, how do you separate it out, right? It's something like that. I think we should think of, now that I think about it, it's a good analogy, because we call the Shruti as Mata, right? Veda Mata, Shruti Mata. Shruti Mata has all of them. Shruti Mata has the religious part, because when we start out, this abstract philosophy will not make sense to us. So Shruti Mata is giving us specific things to do in our life, specific things as a family, specific things as a society. But Shruti Mata is also embedding the philosophy through it. It's like, embedding, sweetly giving this medicine through with a sweet or something like that. So I don't think we should separate within Hindu Dharma. Please, let's not fall into the spiritual but not religious thing, because we cannot do it. How do you separate out? All our Acharyas, look at them, including Bhagavan Adi Shankaracharya, who we are celebrating. When is he a philosopher? When is he a religious person? He is himself the philosopher. He is himself the Shanmata Stapaka. He himself is the one who has written countless works, bhakti works. He himself also writes the, great commentaries on Brahma Sutra or all the philosophical works. There is you can't piecemeal them and say, okay, this is Shankara, the philosopher, Shankara, the religious person. Similarly, we cannot separate out. All our gurus, whichever guru I've had and all of us have had, we don't have the separation. They do the puja. They will also do, even high abstract philosophy like Mandukya Karika, for example. So let's not separate. I think we should keep them. I don't, I think because like we said, the puja, the japa, the, upasana, everything is part of the Vedanta journey also. So how do you separate it out? So I will strongly say that let's not separate out. It's together. For us, it is dharma, period. Dharma includes everything. It includes philosophy. It includes, the practices, bhakti, the upasana, everything. What exactly is reflection? Reflection is, okay, you've heard the guru talk about a certain topic, right? Like guru is talking about, let's say Tattva Bodha. Guru is talking about nature of Atma, or, what is this body? Like there are definitions in Tattva Bodha. Guru will explain that. Now, explanation doesn't mean we imbibe it right away. We'll have some doubts, but how is that possible? But that's not my experience. Why is this Vedanta saying that? So this reflection is you think through this yourself. You make it your knowledge, not the guru's knowledge. Guru has said it, guru has already internalized. We think about it, and now I know it. I am very clear on it. There are no more questions in my mind. I have complete understanding of this topic. I may not be able to live it yet because I need to do that nididhyasana. I need to make it because I'm not used to it. I'm in the past, but at least I have no doubt about it. I'm convinced that this is, this is the right way to think through that topic. Raghavan ji is saying, perhaps the religion here is different from the religion what politicians talk of. That's narrow. Religion is expansive thinking. Correct. Yeah. I think religion has a bad rap today in the West for various reasons. That is not our concept. For us, dharma spans everything. It is holistic. It is it spans how you live as a family, how you live in society, how you treat people, how you do think of your ancestors. I don't think it's fair to split dharma into all these parts. So let's just call it dharma, and we have this beautiful traditions available, and the religious traditions, like we said, that help us do karma yoga. Like the Pancha Mahaya I was talking about. When I first learned Pancha Mahaya during my Vedanta studies several years back, I didn't know that word, but when I look back, we were all doing it. When many of in traditional families in India, we all do our Panchama Yajna. We were doing Shraddha to our, ancestors. We would do in the Amavasa, we'll do it. We were doing puja, japa every day. At least I didn't do, but I could see my father, parents doing it all the time. Bhuta Yajna, leaving even every single morning, my dad would leave food out for the crows outside. We took care of cows, where the cows would come to our house. We did that. We helped people as much as possible. So we were doing all of this. Rishi Yajna, we were, definitely, chanting, doing our karmas, everything. So naturally, we were doing it. We just didn't know the word for it. Now we have the term for it. So the term is helpful for people who have lost it. And now we can use the term to actually define, the problem, the, new practices. I'm sorry, there are a lot of questions. Let me try to address them. Okay. Vojala ji is saying a very simple, practical way. Thank you very much. Practical way, particularly to modern people who want to believe this. Email, I'm not putting email publicly, but I'm going to put my life the Hindu way .wordpress.com. Okay, so please sign up there. I have a WhatsApp group for both parenting as well as for youth, so you can join that. And you can also, if you put it there with a comment, I'll get back to you. Okay, I'll be happy to answer any questions. Or if you don't mind, if you can go to Advaita Academy page and ask the question, I can also answer there. The tattva nature of a thing. Does tattva nature of a thing? I don't know. I think tattva is so many ways, not going into the Sanskrit, the tattva is the core nature of a thing. Yes. Why Vedas are called philosophy? It's truth, but not a way of thinking. Vedas are not called philosophy. I think Vedas are the embodiment of all knowledge according to our thing. They also include philosophy. Yes. It's a way of thinking. It is a way of thinking, so the Vedanta, as we embark on dharma, as we understand, it's a very sukshma, like as we all have heard in growing up. Dharma is it's not a cut and write, black and white, rule book. It's very context sensitive. It's based on where you live, what the situation, the context in front of you. So having a dharma, developing a dharma standpoint takes some little bit of work to develop. But once we do, it actually changes your vision of life. Even like whatever happens in our life, we can see it through a dharma lens and not a very materialistic lens, so to speak. I liked your explanation of nididhyasana. Thank you. Discussion is taking us methodical. Thanks a lot for the compliments. Who did you listen to for Panchadashi? It is on YouTube. Like I said, my guru, initial years, I've been following Chinmaya Mission, Swami Sharanananda ji, but and many others in the Chinmaya Guru-Parampara. But for Panchadashi, I'm following Swami Paramarthananda. Recommend a simple book. So there are many books available. If you're completely, new to Vedanta, I would suggest two things. One is a book called Kindle Life, and two books actually, Kindle Life and Self Unfoldment. They are books by Swami Chinmayanandaji, and very, very simple, no jargon, very simple, simply written with a lot of logic. And it actually really very powerful. It'll be very surprising if you don't get lured into Vedanta after studying it. I also would recommend Swami Paramartha. Again, this is my standpoint. There are many, many, many Acharyas out there. My knowledge is Swami Paramarthananda has a series. It's called Fundamentals of Vedanta, but also Vedic Way of Life. So those would be very great books, great lectures to start with. I also highly recommend the Kanchi Paramacharya's book. The entire corpus is the voice of God, right? Devathan Kural has been published in English, but there are also smaller books on Vedas, Hindu culture and so on. So that is where I think he's able to bring out the essence of why do we do all of this, right? He's able to bring an essence. So many, many books are available. You can reach out to me if you want. Again, this is my based on my experience, I would suggest. Don't you think in matters of spirituality, which ultimately negate an individual, religion which is centered around individual has very little role? Ravindraji, I don't think I get your question. Matters ultimately negates an individual. No, I don't know how it negates an individual. So again, we don't have time to go into a lot of this. Vedanta doesn't negate our individuality. In this Janma, we are the Jiva, and we have to attain, there is a certain Purushartha like we talked about. I do, as an individual, I have things to achieve, one of it is just moksha. So I don't think it negates us as an individual. Religion which is centered around individual. I don't understand your second part of the question, so please explain if possible. Like my website, yeah, I just put it down there. It's life, L-I-F-E, thehinduvay.wordpress.com. I'm also actively writing on Facebook, so you can also message me or in the Advaita Academy Facebook. You can. So my name is Deepa Bhaskaran in Facebook. So please do contact me there, and I can answer any questions. When I is shown to be the impersonal principle, where's the question of the body? Yes. The I is, from a Vedanta standpoint, the body is just an instrument through which the I operates, right? The Jiva, I think yesterday I showed you, I don't know if you came yesterday, but the Jiva has adopted, so the Jiva wrongly has assumed that it is the body, mind, intellect, and it is not the eternal Atman. So the body takes the Jiva takes a body to exhaust those vasanas, right? That is the cycle we are in. We takes multiple bodies. So the body, it's an instrument through which we go through this life. So, so we have to use the body, the mind to accomplish the Purushartha, but know that it's only an instrument, right? That is, we are not saying, obviously we're not asked to give up the body today. Use the body as an instrument to achieve Purushartha. In fact, to achieve moksha, that itself is the purpose of the body. In that respect, religion is a little role, okay? The religion has a role in aligning the body, mind, intellect to achieve the Purushartha. So it has a role in that. So religion has a huge role in aligning the mind, right? Because the mind is, so again, we are getting to complex topics, but the point is the Atma that we have, right? It shines through the mind. It actually on its own, it exists, but how do we access it? Through the mind, like the mirror example I said, we can only see our face in a mirror. We can't just see the face. I have a face, yeah, but I can't see my face. Similarly, the Atman is there, but it gets reflected on our mind. So that is the reason why we need this clean and pure mind we'll talk about. And that is why religion is needed. Religion as in like all the practices and all the rituals is needed, because that's the religion, religion cleans our mind, it purifies our mind, it focuses our mind so that we are able, so that we can see the Atman shining on our mind. I believe I have taken all the questions. If I have left something, please let me know. Self-imputed. Okay, we can go into all of those discussions later, but primarily it is a Chidabhasa, right? It's the reflected consciousness that operates in us. Religion limits us and our thinking to smaller sect. whereas spirituality develops a universal thinking. Religion does not have to limit us if we understand the purpose of this. It is a means, right? So I don't think the sectarian thing should not come within the Hindu fold. I don't think we should go into sectarian things. It's people follow their practices, and like Bhagavan Adi Shankaracharya has established Shanmata Stapaka, that you follow whatever Ishta Devata you want. There's no need to feel like we are all different sects. Of course, as a practice, we may follow something, but it doesn't have to divide us. We have, Dharma is a very expansive fold. So we can go ahead with our either our family practices or whatever our guru says and follow that, because religion does not have to limit us. I kind of disagree with that, but I think it's a big topic. Okay, I believe that is all, I think. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for all the compliments. I appreciate it. Again, this is, like I said, yesterday I said it, it's all whatever I've heard from my gurus, and many of those who are following either Swami Chinmayananda ji or Swami Paramarthananda ji will know I've lifted line by line, I've lifted from them. So really, I don't deserve any, special credit here. It's thanks to their very clarity of teaching, their, amazing commitment that we have all benefited. So all just have to thank them. And if I've made any mistake, that's obviously my misunderstanding. So I think we can stop here.
Thank you once again, Deepa ji, for a very clear session, and you took all the questions and very simple and clear answers you gave, and gave us a good clarification on how to approach Vedanta in our day-to-day life and get inspired by simple but very effective daily habits and practices. Thank you.
So I'm sorry, I forgot to end it. I just went into this.
Yeah,
I think, just to wrap up, right? So here's what I would suggest for those who are new, especially if you're young, I would suggest this, but for any beginner, I think we should all try to be a little more contemplative. We are all very externally focused, and I have young children, so I tell them also, of course you should do everything, but at least once a day, try to turn inwards more often, like try to turn inwards, see what's happening. And secondly, analyze life events also from an we always analyze whatever happens in life only from the material standpoint. Try to also look at them from what is the impact that they're leaving on you. And then the three things we talked about: start a daily routine for, develop Karma Yoga and Pancha Mahaya, right? To help us overcome likes and dislikes. Secondly, develop some Ishta Devata Upasana if you have not started it. Either your Kula Devata or Ishta Devata, start some practice every day, puja, japa, whatever. And then definitely start a systematic study of Vedanta and one guru. Like I know technology is giving us so many options, but sometimes it's initially, at least, it's very good to stick to one parampara, one guru, and proceed. I'm sorry, I forgot that. So yeah. Thank you.
Thank you for those takeaway points also. Viewers, we have a lot more sessions coming up. Tomorrow morning, I'll make the announcement. Tomorrow morning, we have Nritya Jagannathan, who is going to talk about a meditative practice, integrated exploration of the Guru Ashtakam, Tatah Kim. So that's kind of a meditative practice on that particular stotram. And that's at 7 a.m. India time. So please tune in for that. Thank you and good night.